What, can I see your OPGG?
Sure.
Oh, my life. Give me a sec.
And that is my op.gg. I linked it to you in Skype.
Okay. Shit. Alright, hold on. Let me make the size of this bigger. That should be enough. Let's just do 11 just to be safe. And it's not enough. Well, hopefully it is. Is it? No. Why is this? Oh my god. I don't know.
Maybe you could break it into 2 columns.
That's what I was just about to do. Okay, and now... What did I cut? 15? Alright. Okay. Somalian Stallion?
Yeah. That's the name my friend came up with.
Okay. Diamond 5. Support main. Okay. We got 800 games played in 1 year? Okay.
Yeah, it is my... I started playing League in around February, late February, early March.
Of last year?
In 2015. And this was my first MOBA and I really enjoyed it. I want to get better.
That's pretty good, man. And you're still climbing, because it says Season 5 you ended at Platinum 3, so you're still climbing after a year. That's really good.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, because you have to factor in relativity. Diamond 5 now is a lot harder than it used to be in the past. I used to say that if you didn't get Diamond 5 in 6 to 9 months, you probably weren't talented in the slightest, in some ways, right? But you're already steadily improving, and you've been playing less than a year, so that's good. That's not bad.
Oh, because my
And
goal
you're
was to
playing a
get-
role that does not support climbing, so that's also equally impressive in some ways.
Oh.
That's good.
Because my goal was to reach a master tier, but I failed miserably.
No, that's fine. No, well, master straight coming into the game, that's probably not going to happen unless you're getting a lot of help. And if you are more so talented, the extent of, I mean, obviously your brain has a knack for something to do with, you know, MOBA type strategy and whatever, right? Like, because otherwise this just wouldn't happen, because the average person does not play a year and keep steadily improving beyond Diamond. Usually they have, you know, humps that they run into. So that's pretty good, especially given the role that you're electing to play. Because I think you would probably be higher. Oh, I mean, I guess I can't know that for certain, but you'd probably be higher, you know. And also, you haven't even played that many games, like, you know.
Yeah,
That's
I
not...
regret that. Because
Yeah.
I was like, when I was around gold, I like didn't play that much.
Yeah.
It took
Okay.
me around 700 games to reach diamond. I thought it was bad because you always say it on stream.
Well, it is... Diamond's not good, but relative to how long you've been playing and the amount of time that you've invested into the game, you know, by your game count, if you had like 4,000 games, that's a little bit different. Maybe this isn't as impressive, and it would skew, you know, my perception of what it is, because then it would mean that you did begin to stagnate, you know, once you hit a certain tier. So that would be kind of awkward, but you still have under 1,000 games. And then we factor in that maybe you've played like 300 normals or something, you know, getting to level 30,
Yeah.
and whatever. So I guess that's what, you know, that is. That's not bad. Okay, let's see
I
here.
haven't played that much recently because of reasons. I don't really want them to be known public. I can write
Okay.
it to you in Skype.
No, that's fine. I'm not concerned with. I was gonna ask if it had anything to do with the patch, or I would just assume maybe the holidays. But I would have asked, but it wouldn't be a major concern. So, okay. You know, I don't know if you're doing it intentionally or if you've listened to other sessions, but sometimes you have phases of playing one champion over and over and over and not deviating, which is something that I recommend, and usually people can't stick to. So that's really good.
Yeah, I watched some professional games and I saw that Trundle was really strong, so I wanted to learn the champion.
Okay. Well, it's not even just with Trundle. It seems like you don't deviate from like 3 or 4 champions. So there's already things that you're doing that put you on the right track for improving that most people can't do. They just can't not actually play just 4 champions. They get too bored or whatever. So this is all good. Alright, so let's take a look at your questions. Okay. Let's see. When to roam, what champs to roam on against pathing should I take when roaming? This is a little here. So anyway, I think there's something that someone recommended me to use, which is something called riftkit or something. Riftkit. Alright, so here, I'm gonna use this. You can see my screen, correct?
I can.
Alright, so here's the thing. So these are some generic... How do I move this shit? Okay. I don't know what the hell this is. How do I erase that? I have no idea how to use this, by the way. Okay, so let's say that you... So this is you. Okay, well, apparently that's not you. How do I just click the support? The hand? No, not the hand. What is going on? How do I... Okay. So here's your AD carry, right? So you had to recall early, okay? And your AD carry is down here, and he's still CSing like a complete donk because he doesn't understand recall timings. Or maybe you got gimped really badly, you know, around level 5, level 6 or something, okay? And you had to recall a little bit sooner. So you're over here, and you're about to be here, and then you notice that your AD carry walks here and starts his recall. So when his recall animation would finish, you would be around here or like here, depending on what path you take, right? So you're anywhere between these 2 lines, all right? Like right here. Okay, can you see that? All right. So what you're gonna do is this is your opportunity to support mid and your jungle. So now this is where you have the time to go from here, and you can go like this, okay? And you can go ward, and you can go ward. Okay, and then you can also give a ward over here, but this isn't really necessary when you have this and when you have this, right? If mid is completely donking off and they're staying right-centric and, you know, East River-centric, and maybe your jungler's over here and he's able to accompany you, you can maybe gank mid. And then at this time, what's going to happen is your AD carry is going to be recalled. So by the time you start placing these wards, your AD carry is going to be here. And then you are going to be here, okay? And by the time the AD carry gets to here, you've probably successfully placed all your wards and stuff, and you'll end up uniting with him. Either he will be here when you get to here, which is completely fine, or if the enemy bot lane is completely a donk, you can be here when he's here. This is fine. Okay. This is very standard. This happens in professional play. It happens in solo queue. This is a solo queue yet professional basic route. Like, this is very ABC. There's nothing advanced about this, and if you watch enough pro games, you'll notice that this is, you know, a very standard occurrence. I don't have a name for this. I think that a name should be developed for it. I'm not going to come up with one on the spot because, you know, people are idiots. But there should definitely be a name for this. And obviously there's a lot of other roaming type things. Now let's say hypothetically that, you know, you have a Lucian down here and he's 3-0, okay? And you're level 6. And the Lucian is up against a neutral and a passive AD carry. So a neutral AD carry is going to be something like Ezreal pre-Triforce. Okay, and then he has, let's say, I don't know, he has a fucking a Nami, or he has like a Janna, right? Now, it doesn't mean that Nami and Janna can't go offensive, but usually, and by usually I mean over 75% of the time, they're not going to be going aggressive unless the matchup calls for it, okay? And if Lucian is 3-0, they're probably just not going aggressive. So with that being said, now you can realize how far ahead of your AD carry is. Now, if you are Lucian Leona, if you are Lucian Morgana, if you're Lucian, like something really heavy, like you pack a really big punch, then yes, actually, it's probably correct in some cases to stay in the lane. But now we begin talking about complexities of the support role that we could sit here and talk for 10 hours on, so there's really no point. So instead, I'm just going to tell you generics that will, benefit you, and you take the foundation or the fundamental of it, and then you sculpt it into the bigger picture. So Lucian's 3-0 or something. You know that if you just give him a ward here, okay, and if you have a pink here, and then also if you have a pink here, this is like the nuts for your top laner, okay, assuming that they run teleport. Then again, you are playing on EU West, and I think they undervalue teleport there. But this type of a ward right here is the nuts for teleport stuff, okay? So now you have the 3-0 Lucian, you have a fucking, how do I do this? You have a ward here, you have a pink ward here, you have a green ward here, and then you have a green ward here, okay? And you still have maybe a ward in your inventory, and maybe you still have your Gallo Trinket for some reason, whatever. Okay, now, during this, Lucian is completely safe. Lucian benefits from the lane getting shoved into him, Lucian benefits from, a neutral lane, and by a neutral lane I mean any lane that is within these lines, okay, Lucian benefits from. Lucian does not benefit from lanes that are in between this line or even forward, relative to matchups. So with that being said, now you can go as fucking Janna, and now you can apply pressure to other lanes, and you can also apply Fog of War pressure, because if you're this far ahead, it is unlikely that the enemy jungler or the enemy support is able to keep up with you in terms of vision control. So simply by going into the Fog of War, you're applying pressure. This is also where you can create opportunities by getting mobility-based items, whether it's Mobi boots or just completing your tier 2 boots or something, off of a recall. So say that you wait until you have your recall thing, you can end up going top. Now your AD carry is going to be down here. If you run back down here, there's probably a chance in most cases, depending on where he stands and his core items, that he might actually still be there with you, and then you can still be there for about 2 minutes, and then he recalls, and then your route is always just going to be to go into mid, because it doesn't make any sense for you to recall, okay? So rather than have that occur, which that is one route, okay? Don't just not claim that that's a route. Don't throw that out of your mindset or whatever. You can then just recall, and then you can do this route that we talked about before, but this doesn't make any sense because this begins to lose. It has less EV the longer the game goes on. It doesn't mean don't do it, but this is a route, okay, that has a lot of EV early on, like anywhere between 6 minutes to 13 minutes or so. Maybe 13 minutes is pushing it. 6 minutes to like 12 minutes. This is like a very sweet spot route. Like this route is very nice. But then later on, let's say that, inside of that route, there's also routes that are like 8 minutes to, 11 minutes, 12 minutes, 13 minutes, whatever, where you can go like, you can go like this, and you can get a ward here, and then you can come up, and depending on who you are. Now, this type of a route, okay, which is this, okay, this is for Annie. This is like for Annie, this is for Tahm Kench, because Tahm Kench comes here, jungler unites with him, boom, gank. This is for Annie, because if she has Mobo boots and she has Tibbers, dead top lane. This is for, Karma. She comes up here, fucking, she speaks in whatever language she speaks, REWQ, dead. Now, if you do this as Janna, it doesn't make any sense unless you have a read on the enemy jungler, and you predict that a gank is going to come top, or if you recognize that the enemy support is then roaming. Because if the enemy support's then roaming, then you just have to take a look at your mid laner and then your top laner, and then you have to wonder, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, where is that support going to show up? And then also, if the enemy support's roaming, you have to ask yourself, is it more EV to match the roam and then appear at a counter gank, because that means that they've invested more resources into the proactiveness of their gank, and thus by defending, I actually gain an even larger gold lead, because of the investment, because they're already behind. So then if they get stopped again, they don't just fall behind again, they fall even further behind again. So it's sort of like it's a two-punch thing. So then you have to ask yourself, is it better to just stay in the lane? And that's relative to, is Dragon up? What is my jungler's route? What color, what jungle-centric jungler do I have? Do I have a blue Lee Sin? Do I have a red Lee Sin? Do I have a blue Rek'Sai? Do I have a red Rek'Sai? Do I have a, you gotta ask yourself all these questions. And obviously, this stuff, I'm just telling you that it exists, mostly because you're having a slow growth. So I think if the growth maintains, you're going to eventually get to an MMR where stuff like this begins to become important. Right now, not all of this stuff is important beyond the generic routes. Okay? But it's stuff that you need to know for the future. And so that's pretty much that. So these are generic routes. So you can take away from their core principles, and you can look at their foundation and their theory and their thought process, and then you can begin to sculpt other routes. Obviously, there is no cookie cutter route for every single scenario. There's always going to be things, you know, that are left to interpretation, and there's obviously going to be reads. You know, do you have a read on the do you have a read on the enemy jungler? Do you have a read on the enemy support? Do you have a read on the enemy mid? You know, what is going on in mid lane, etc. Do not, however, get the solo queue mentality, where, you know, if your mid laner is losing really bad and you're winning bot really hard, it does not mean just go and support mid. That's not what you do. Additionally, one thing that I will say is if you were getting shit stomped in bottom, it may be correct, depending on color and matchup, to actually just leave your AD carry and just go on a perma roaming spree. And that is because the pressure that it can apply to other lanes, you can hopefully ignite a fire in top or mid, whereas the enemy bot lane already has a fire created in bot. You know what I mean? And you fight fire with fire.
By colors, do you mean for the which side it is on?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So that's pretty much that. And I think that's alright. I think that's it for that. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. I think that's it. Alright, now let's go into your other question. Okay, well, I guess we just banged out 2 questions. Alright. Alright, so we got this one. We got this one. How to predict the enemy jungler, how to learn clear times, camp fun. This one, I guess, is pretty easy because you can just go into a game, yourself even, and you can just, well, not yourself, but you can, I think replay tools still exist, right? I mean, I may be wrong, but you can just use a replay tool, and then you can just remember the timer. Because usually at any given point, there's only like 4 to 5 junglers that are actually in the meta and are being picked often. And then you get the people that are really fucking weird, and they pick Master Yi and shit, like Silence. And you don't really have to know the jungle timers exactly on those champions, unless you're a jungler yourself, like you're Evelynn or Pantheon or something, and you're going to go for level 2 cheeses, then yes, you need to know their exact highest clear timer speed, like, you know, what can a pro gamer clear it at, and then, you know, you ask, you know, well, what can Silence clear it at,
Yeah.
and then all you have to do is show up to when the pro gamer can clear at, and, you know, chances are Silence isn't even halfway done, so you'd end up killing him. But anyways, that's pretty much it. You just use a replay and you just memorize it. It's literally just like using flashcards when you're a kid to learn multiplication or like division or whatever. Okay. And I think that's it. How do I improve my decision making? How to play more consistent? This is difficult because your decision making is still ever changing because you're so new. So it's weird to throw you in one direction. Decision making, I guess, in itself, you can self-reflect, but the problem is I no longer recommend watching replays of yourself because players usually are incapable of coming to the conclusion on what is the best answer or what is, you know, a much more optimal choice. And, you know, the example that I end up using is like, you know, a player decides that he was mid lane and he roamed bot and then he died. So he watches the replay and he's like, oh, I shouldn't roam bottom here. And so then he decides that he should just stay mid, and then he does this for 150 games in a similar situation and he never roams bot. And then a much higher level player watches it and he's like, no, you should have roamed bot, but the route that you should have taken was like this route, and then when you come into bot lane you should go like this. And so this is more optimal. It's not even the most optimal, but it's way more optimal than what this guy is doing. And so he gets stuck on something that's incorrect, and now he has to unlearn this, and then he has to unlearn this, and then he has to kind of relearn this, and then he has to learn this. Alright, so that's why it's not good.
Yeah, for VOD reviews, I watched it with a friend of mine. He was Challenger last season.
Mm-hmm.
and we go through VODs together. So I don't because I remember what you said about watching VODs. You will be biased towards their mistakes.
Well, no. I mean, watching VODs is probably. I mean, if you're watching it with someone much better than you, I think that's fine.
Yeah, because that's what I usually do.
Good. That's good then. So okay. So that's pretty much it. How to play more consistent? I guess that just has to do with tilt. And tilt is a whole other thing. And you probably know I have a lot of videos that go over like tilt and whatever because it's a common topic brought up a lot. So you could probably find it there. That's pretty much it. Positioning and team fights as support. This is too wide of a question. I can't answer it because every support's different. Every team comp's different. I would have to see you play to give you a better answer. I don't want to answer this other than generic stuff that you probably already are aware of, or someone else could tell you. But in the sense, it just depends. What type of a support are you? Are you ahead or are you behind? Who is their carry? What is the enemy's team, or what is the enemy team's goal in a team fight, and how can I, like you have to just wonder about that stuff, and that's pretty much it. If I only play champions like Alistar, Leon, or Tom Kench, when should I stand behind peeling? This is the same thing. It's too weird to answer without examples. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I understand.
So I think, obviously I can't right now, but I think in the future I'm going to recommend that when people have questions like these that they find a clip that would better allow me to explain or answer what they're asking. Champion pull for my main role and other roles. Well, I mean, technically, an alt role doesn't really have to exist, and now with that absolutely horrendous, disgusting dynamic queue coming into the picture, maybe you don't even have to worry about it anymore, because clearly Riot knows what they're doing. But, I mean, for your main role, your champions all seem okay. Let me just check again. Okay. You have Janna, you have Tom Kench, you have Trundle. I've heard Poppy is good. Again, I've only been back a few days, so forgive me on meta choices, okay? Obviously, I would probably start working on Thresh now, because it's getting to that point where you do need to start, improving your mechanics and improving other aspects of your gameplay that is not just knowledge-based or basic fundamental-based.
Yeah, I used to play Thresh a lot, but I stopped playing him because I was bad at him.
Yeah, well, it's time to start playing again. So, drop one of your main... See, you have to be willing to lose now to get better, which is completely fine. So just drop one of your main supports right now that you feel really, really comfortable on, and you don't have a problem, relearning, and just pick up Thresh.
Yeah.
I think that would be...
I don't mind, I don't care about my rank, I just want to improve.
That's good. And so yeah, I think Poppy is actually okay as well. So you could do that. Tom Kench, I'm not sure where he stands as support. I mean, it is Tom, so he's probably broken regardless. So, I mean, you can keep playing Tom if you want, but definitely incorporate Poppy and Thresh in some way. And just do the same thing for Poppy and Thresh that you did with Trundle, where you just spam it over and over and over, regardless of whatever the outcome is going to be.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, how can I reduce the impact of tilting? Well, we answered that up above. Yep. How do I ward versus roam/jungle? We answered that in question 1. Alright. Or do you want me to go... I mean, how do I ward versus junglers with creative gank patterns like Rek'Sai, Shaco, and Italy? I mean, I guess I'll go over it one more time. Or I'll go over it a little bit more. Okay, so let's say that you're support, okay? Now, Shaco has what gank roots? He has this, okay? He has this, okay? He has this to this, to this, to this, okay? So it's like a 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? That's a 7, but...
I think the screen share is frozen.
Screen share froze? Okay, give me a sec. Now?
There we go.
Okay. Okay, so Shaco, he does this. And Skype crashed. I love life. Okay. I can't even call him. Hey, we back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, alright. You got this?
Sorry about-
No, it's fine. Alright, so you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like Shaco's gank paths on bottom. He has, you know, he hops over Dragon Pit into this brush, and then he comes into the lane. He jumps over this, he comes over. Okay, so now all you have to do is you have to either play your lane relative to Shaco being present, or you have to just ward in ways that cover everything that he does, right? So I mean, okay, so a pink ward right here, okay? Oh Jesus, how do I guess I can't. Okay, so if you have a pink ward right here, and then you play the lane, now it's gonna be hard to get a diamond to 80 carry to fucking do this, but if you have a pink ward right there, and then you play the lane like this, I mean, it's very hard, because now it only leaves Shaco's gank as this, which means that he'll make the jump from here, so even if you have a ward right here or something, it won't see him, you know what I mean, because of the vision?
Yeah.
Okay, so he'll make the jump from there, and then he'll come into the lane. So that's a little bit difficult. So the only way to do anything about this is gonna be, hold on, how do I, okay, let me get all this shit out of here. So, okay, the only way to do anything about this is you look at what is the, you know, the best way to shut down Shaco, and that is this, right? Like a tip, you know, a ward right at the very tip of the brush. So now this pink shuts down this gank, it shuts down this gank, okay, it shuts down this gank. The only gank I guess it doesn't shut down is this one, but in that case you can just kind of R him back into the tower, because, you know, it's a fucking EUS Shaco, so and there's no good Shaco there. And then this ward, for the most part, I mean, he's forced to jump from here, or like here, which is really bad. You have to really be overextending, and at that point it's all too easy to escape his ganks. You know what I mean? So it's mostly just going into something like this and looking at, like, well, how does Rek'Sai and Shaco and all them actually gank? You know, and then you can just look at breaking down, you know, like what will work best against them. And then obviously, if you're, how do I clear this whole fucking board? I have absolutely no. Oh, thank God. All right. Obviously, if you're pushing up really hard and you have a ton of control in the lane. Then all you probably need is pink ward, green ward, and then ideally your jungler isn't batshit retarded, and green ward, and then Shaco's dead. I mean, because then at this point the only thing he can do is, if he's really intelligent, which he's not because he's on the US, is this. This is the only gank he has left, but those Shacos aren't going to think about this. Okay, all that these Shacos think is, I'm doing great on my way bot. That's it. Okay, or, alright, doing golems, coming back, guys! And then he, like, goes invisible on top of a pink ward. Like, that's all that they do, so there's that. Okay, and the same type of stuff applies to, like, Rek'Sai and all the others, so it's, like, whatever. Alright. But yeah, anyways. Should I sweep to check for wards or save it for areas I know are warded? You can sweep to check for wards if it's relative to a gank, or, like, you know, like if your jungler's coming and then maybe like the next minute. So, like, let's say that you see that your jungler, okay, now again, you know, you do have to try to get inside the mind of a Diamond 5 jungler, so, you know, brace yourself. But let's say that your jungler's right here, okay, and he comes around like this, alright? When he's right here, you can sweep here, or you can sweep here. Because, like, if he's relatively healthy, then it would make sense, now again, we are talking about things that make sense, to, you know, be able to gank like this, or to be able to gank like this. So, you know, so that's when you do, you know, sweeps. How can I practice hitting and dodging skill shots? You can just go into single player, I guess. The one thing I will say, though, is that a lot of people don't understand DI. Now, I'm remaking a video. There was another video that was made on this. Here, I'll try to... I don't know if I can show the... I mean, I don't want to take away our... whatever. Hold on. So, let's see. Body tags, DI. He has a new... This is it. Okay. Oh, hey guys, Jesus. Alright, so this is the video about DI. I'm just gonna go to the Ezreal thing. Well, that's for moving through minions, but this is the Ezreal thing where he talks about clicking. So this is something even a lot of pro players don't understand, which is like amazing. But anyways, you see how far away Ezreal's mouse is clicking, okay? And it affects your avatar because Riot has coding. And, you know, Riot's coding in the game is constantly being input to a server and whatever. So you want to override Riot's coding. And to do so, you want to click very rapidly, about 4 to 5 centimeters in front of your champion, the way that he's clicking right now. And when you do stuff like that, now obviously this is just one video and there's going to be a bunch of people that are like, well, Thresh obviously intentionally missed. No, that's not the point. The point is if you have your champion's avatar, okay, there is an area where most people click around their champion, okay, which is usually anywhere between, probably even bigger than that, to be honest. Oh, yeah, okay. That, okay.
Video you made with the red and blue clicks.
Yes, with Gangplank, right, correct. So most people, and then also the speed of their clicks is fucking bad, okay? And I don't want to hear people that are clueless and don't know anything about coding, and they've never played a game fast in their life, and they think APM's useless, and, well, this LCS player has 130... Doesn't matter, it's bad, okay? Mondragon had 130 APM in StarCraft 1, doesn't mean it was okay just because he was godlike. So, anyways, with that being said, if you click here, okay, and then you click here, and there was 0.7 seconds in between the clicks for some reason, and one guy clicks here, and then, oh, Jesus, one guy clicks here, and then another guy clicks here, and there was 0.3 seconds in between his click, his avatar is going to respond differently. And because the avatar is responding differently, the pixels... You know, or the wherever the champion is standing on the map is going to be coded differently. It's just not arguable. You know what I mean? Like you can't argue with numbers and in a fucking machine. Like it's not like whatever. Now, so when you're clicking all, you know, spastic or whatever, and you're going, you know, click 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 click, you want to have the clicks be inside of a ring that is very close to your champion. Okay. And when you do it like this, and if you can get the clicks as close as possible, obviously in an ideal fucking world, you actually get the clicks something like this, okay? If you can do this, and then you can click really rapidly, you have probably the closest possible thing to a human's control that isn't scripting. Because this is the only possible way to achieve it. Now, there's other videos on YouTube, like the mouse macro with Yasuo, that showcase this. And so any idiot that says that... you know, clicking fast is pointless and no pro player click, doesn't matter. Just because they're not doing it right now doesn't mean that they won't do it in the future. It doesn't mean that there's not an advantage to be gained by doing it. There is an advantage to be gained, and it's not actually that difficult to ask out of you, okay? There's no reason not to do it, so then just do it, okay? But this is something that you can work on and you can practice, because this plays a huge part in dodging skill shots. It plays a huge part in, you know, control of your champion. There's even a highlight. There's a highlight that I like to bring up a lot, which is Forgiven's Graves dodge on Morgana's Binding. Forgiven has the highest APM, by far, okay, no pun intended, of any Western player. He has the absolute highest mouse and keyboard APM. And that's been talked about, I think, on the Riot streams. That I think his mouse APM alone is supposedly 200 or something. The average LCS player has a mouse APM of 110. Okay? Forgiven almost clicks at double the speed. And I mean, the greatest argument against, does that actually exist is you just put Forgiven side by side with most Western AD carries. And I think there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's pretty much it. So, okay, so that's for the APM thing. How can I alright, so we already did that. How can I practice helping my AD carry CSing under turret? I mean, if he doesn't know how to CS under turret, then it's just unlucky, and you just keep doing other stuff, and eventually the skill that you have in aiding an AD carry CSing under turret will eventually come into play. But if you try to aid a silver AD carry in CSing under turret, you're gonna be met with, "Stop fucking auto-attacking, Jonna! Fucking retard!" Okay, and that doesn't do anything. So just don't even do it. Just let them miss the CS, because there's other ways that you can win the game. Because it's silver. So if at Diamond 5 or whatever, the AD carries are completely incompetent and they don't realize what you're trying to do, they don't realize that, every single time that minion just gets away with one hit. If they say that to themselves, they're like, 6 in a row it lived with just one hit. I wonder how... Maybe if I just had a little bit more AD, I could get it. And they don't realize what you're doing, then just let them be. You know what I mean? Just let them... Let him do it. How can I know/be cautious about a potential teleport to bot lane? That you can't really know, especially because now you're talking about getting into the mind of Diamond 5 players. I think the teleports generally are going to be random, and if teleports ever do occur, they're not going to be planned. And so because of that, I don't think you ever have to worry about a planned teleport, because I think the likelihood of it occurring is probably going to be like 5 in 100 games. Okay.
But are there any signs that I could look out for any future games if a player versus better opponents?
I mean, you can look if they deep ward, you can look if they sweep brushes at an unusual time. Like, say that your jungler just showed up in top, because like the ward sweep, most people would read it as they want to make sure there's no ward in the brush, or they want to make sure that their jungler might come, but that they know that their jungler just showed up on the map as well, so it doesn't make any sense. So I think it looks like a counter teleport ward and stuff. Reading into proactive bot lane teleport ganks is pretty awkward. I guess you have to know like who the top laner is, what's going on in top lane, which you can just pay attention to using the F keys. And I think that's it. But that's a pretty difficult question to answer, mostly because it's pretty alien in those servers. Planned teleports. So I don't know. And then on top of that, isn't teleport becoming a very rare summoner?
Ignite was taken more often.
Yeah.
Pieces, but
it's starting to phase out?
Yeah.
Okay, good. No, that's good. That means that they're headed in the right direction. Alright, that's good. What variable should I take into account before initiating a team fight? This is, again, it's sort of like that scenario where I would prefer a clip. Do you know what I mean? But, like, let's say that you're Annie and you have flash timbers or something, and, you're fucking, God, I don't know how to describe it. Let's hope that riftkit can zoom in. Can it zoom in? Oh, it can zoom in. Alright, let's get everyone in here. Let's get a fucking part. What?
You need to click that, those arrows.
Yeah. Let's get everyone in here. This is a goddamn party. Alright. What the hell's this? Jungler. Alright, let's get in here. Okay, so you got your top, you got your mid jerking off back here, your AD carry is probably back here because he's afraid, your jungler's over here because he wants to be like Insec, and then you have yourself with Flash Tibbers, okay? And they have their top, they have their mid, who is just farming the wave because it's fucking Zeroth, they have their support, who's over here because she doesn't know what she's doing, their AD carry is probably, jerking off right around here, and then their jungler is probably dicking off either anywhere but, like, around here, okay? I think this is a very common setup. So anyways, let's see what happens. So the mid tries to poke, and your top backs up, mid backs up, etc. Mid comes up, AD carries right here, support's probably hugging around here, and then top is like, you know, waiting off over here and whatever. And the jungler's probably still just going in and out of the fucking brush because nothing's really being accomplished. Your jungler's probably going around like this. Now, let's say that, you know, the AD carry keeps walking and the mid backs up and then the top backs up. And then the AD carry, for some reason, stays right here. And then there's a split-second window. You know what I mean? Where the mid laner is supposed to, at all points, be within 3.5 centimeters of the AD carry, or the top laner is supposed to be within 5.5 centimeters. And they break, and it goes to 3.25 centimeters. Flash tibbers. And that's complex because it requires foresight. You have to know, it's a lot of experience. You have to know the damage outputs. You have to know, like, okay, you're actually too far away. Like, you just fucked up. Because it's awkward. The best way to do it is either through mass experience or through watching VODs or through analyzing it with better players. But there are nuances like this, and there are situations like this where even 1 centimeter can actually be death. And people don't realize that. But you also have to be willing to pull the trigger. You know, if Twisted Fate missteps just 1 centimeter, you have to flash tibbers. But it's sort of like you have to have these grids in your mind. Okay, well, the lines aren't going to be very straight, but you have to have these grids in your your mind, and you have to be cognitive of your range, and then you have to be cognitive of the opponent's range. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, if it's the fucking mid laner, you know, his range is going to be a little bit bigger and stuff. But you get what I'm saying at the end of the day.
Yeah, does things like this comes with experience? Does, like,
a lot of it does.
Range?
Yes. Hold on, one second. Let me. I need a drink because my throat's getting really dry.
Sure.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Okay. I'm back. Are you here? You here with me?
I am.
Okay. Now, let's say, for some reason, okay, now, if you ask most people, they would tell you that, you know, 4 is apparently greater than 5, you know, when they start team fights 4v5. Now, let's just say that there's the support, the AD carry, and the mid. And top lane is jerking off over here. Well, okay, so let's say this stalemate's going on. Now, this tower is dead. Okay, is there a way for me to delete the tower? Okay, well, the tower's dead. Okay, so this tower's dead, and they're trying to siege you, and they have a Zeroth, they have Lucian, and they have a Janna, or something. I don't know. And this stalemate's going on. Okay, so now we're going to zoom in. Alright, so the stalemate... Oh, Jesus, sorry. Stalemate's going on. And eventually they get sick of it. You know what I mean? Maybe the mid laner starts getting low on mana, whatever. So now everyone moves up a bit. Alright, so now the support, you know, is over here. Top laner ends up being over here. Jungler is now over here. And he's dancing between, like, this. You know what I mean? Maybe he does rates. Now everyone here advances up as well. So now we're sort of like playing a chess game. Okay, now your top laner goes up like this, and their top sees this as well, and so their top matches it. Jungler decides, well, it looks like nothing's happening, he starts fucking doing wraiths. If your jungler is right here, okay, these are the moments you also need to capitalize on, okay, and their mid decides to be a donk and stay too far forward, you need to flash tibbers. Because your jungler can close the gap faster, their top's out of position, your top's out of position, that doesn't matter. You're going to delete someone. With that person being deleted, you've now created a dark lane. Which is, you know, like, this, well, actually, it's even bigger than this. All of this is yours. Okay? You know what I mean? And now you can do whatever the fuck you want with this. Also, because you're now the support, if this top lane donk decided to keep going top lane, okay, and now the support's forced out over here, AD carry is dead, mid is backed up over here. Okay, your AD carry and your mid can keep pushing. This jungler is going to be a donk, and he's going to hang around fucking here like this. This jungler probably is going to eat wolves, and then he's going to keep, you know, pressurizing mid. Now what you can do is, if you're not absolutely retarded, so we're just going to throw the 80 carry off, okay? So if you're not, wait, this is your 80 carry. Okay, this 80 carry is dead. Okay, so now the support's over here, whatever, because maybe a fight broke out, just a little bit hurt. Okay, so now you're the 80 carry in the mid, the jungler's dicking off over here. You, depending on who you are, can go up to top lane. And if your jungler is not absolutely retarded, okay, what's going to happen is they're going to do a siege on mid. Okay, and then what's going to happen is your jungler is going to come up, and now if the top lane isn't absolutely retarded, he'll hopefully back off and make it out. If he doesn't, it's all too easy of a collapse and a kill, and then you get top tower too. These are really generic rotations, and they occur in pro play. You would be amazed how often, though, you see professional teams fucking mess up shit like this. Now, obviously, this is a very generic explanation, and it's very ABC, but I think it's very absolute, in the sense that there is, if you sit here with a chess player and you ask them, you know, what are the correct responses that can come out of red team at this point, there is going to be very few moves, right, that are available. Yeah. And a lot of people would like to believe that there's more moves, but there's not. At the end of the day, there's the most optimal moves, and when you keep filtering out, because eventually there's gonna be all these, like, every click is a move. Okay, what's going to be determined is that at the highest levels of play, this is going to still be optimal, this will be optimal, this can, you know, or not optimal, viable, this will be viable, you know, whatever. And then eventually, you're going to pull it down, and there's only going to be really 4 moves for red team. Okay, and so then, all you have to do is you don't need to know the answers to all of these moves. See, this is where Twitter analysts and, you know, November coaches come in. They think that, well, it is good to know all these, but this doesn't matter. This chaos, okay, all of this is completely irrelevant because you've already filtered it out. They can't do these things anymore. All that matters at this point in time is this. And so long as you understand all of the answers to these 4, which are presented by how the map looks at this point in time, then you have the check. Now, it may not be checkmate, but you have check. Okay? So never concern yourself with all of this chaos, at least not at this point in time. Okay, this chaos does matter, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because a punch is just a punch is more than a punch. This is a punch is more than a punch, okay? But at the end of the day, a punch is just a punch. Okay. Right here, okay?
Another thing I have about this, if you use the same play, if the jungler is stupid and doesn't come top lane, should I use the time to deep ward?
Unlucky, that's solo queue.
But should I use that time to deep ward the red side jungle?
Don't deep. Well, I mean, is Dragon coming up in the next 3 minutes? You know, is Baron even viable? What's happening in bot? Like, what do the lanes look like? Now we're talking about other stuff, and now we're sort of staying on solo queue, but we're beginning to touch too much into 5. So I don't want to go into that because that's a different thing. But like, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's all relative, but the thought processes are the same because the thought processes are the core foundation. Okay? And that's all that you need to ever know. You don't need to know about the chaos. Anyone that tells you that you need to know about the chaos, they're fucking idiots. So yeah. All right. What variables? Okay, so we answered that. I feel like one of my major flaws is that I die a lot. Do you?
Yeah.
Oh god, you do. I mean, I'm not gonna be able to solve that without watching you play, or I'm not gonna be able to judge why that is without watching you play. Really, it could just be that you play too far up, or that you're too aggressive. One of the things that I did notice is most of your questions. I think you had one question about peeling, right? Let me see.
It was about positioning.
Why can't I find? Okay, this is okay. This is the only question that you have that is defense based, almost. I mean, obviously you can you can classify this stuff as defense, but I mean in a fighting sense, yeah. Which is interesting. So don't be so aggressive focused in your mindset. Okay, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, you could probably just maybe set a goal for yourself that you're not allowed to die more than X times per game. I mean, or you can try something like that. I mean, it's not terrible, but yeah. You don't have any exercises to improve your eye movement. What do you mean? Like looking at minimap?
Like, I feel like when I look at my minimap, I take too long to look back at the lane. To the middle of the screen where my champion is, etc. If you know what I mean.
Wait, repeat that?
Like, when I'm playing the game and I like try to take a quick look at the minimap, I feel like I'm way too slow to return my focus to my champion or my lane, etc.
Okay. The usual recommendation I have for this is to get another account. Like a silver or like a bronze ID or something, right? And you just go there and you work on everything mechanically that you're having issues with. Because you're not going to be under as much pressure as you are on your main. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The other thing, I guess, is you just have someone sit on Skype with you and maybe you stream to them on Hitbox because that has a very low delay, and you have them kind of like mentor you. Or you can get a free coach off Lsxycoaching to kind of sit with you, because basically all that those people want on Lsxycoaching, the ones that offer free coaching, they just want experience at the end of the day. You know?
So I was thinking like when I move my eyes to the minimap, I feel like the time that it takes to move back to my champion is too long.
I mean, I can't judge that without... it does make sense, but I don't know of ways to tell you how to improve it. I mean, there's stuff I can do if I'm physically there with you. You know what I mean? Like in-person coaching exercises, but it doesn't really go beyond just watching you and instructing you while you're doing it. You know what I mean? Okay. But at the end of the day, I think the recommendation for the just going on a lower LO account would be wise.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Okay. All right. Is that all?
It is.
Okay. All right, man. If you have anything else, feel free to just message me on Skype.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you for
All right.
session.
Yeah. No problem. All right. Good luck.